Question 9. Suppose a new member of the City Council has to be chosen from 3 candidates, and suppose there are 4 voting stations. We need a C++ program that will count the votes for every candidate and display the result. At every voting station, the voters vote by choosing A, B, or C on a ballot paper. The voting officer must enter the votes into the program so that they can be counted. X is entered when all the votes at a specific voting station have been entered. The program has the following structure. The 3 totals and the number of spoiled votes are initialized to 0. Using the following integer variables: vote for A, votes for B, votes for C, spoiled votes. Use a for loop going from 1 to the number of voting stations. Inside this loop is a while loop. A prompting message appears on the screen asking the voter for which candidate he or she wants to vote. The choice of the voter is then input. Inside the while loop is a switch statement to increment the correct total. The default option is used to count the number of spoiled votes. The while loop is exited when X is entered for the choice. When the for loop is exited, the 3 totals and the number of spoiled votes are displayed. Display the results as follows: total candidates A, total candidate B, total candidate C, total spoiled votes. Run your program with the input given below and submit printouts of the program and output. We write the data of each voting station in one line, but you will possibly enter the values on separate lines. Submit your program and output.
Okay, so that was the question. Let's see how we can answer it. Like I said, every program has input, processing, and output. And in this case, we've got a declaration statement. It says the 3 totals and the number of votes are initialized to 0. If I'm saying initialized to 0, that gives me a hint that this would be an integer value. Well, they tell me as well the following integer variables. Isn't that cool? So let's go up here. I'm going to say int. It's vote for A, votes for B, right? So I'm going to cheat a little. Let's do some copy and pasting. Which other lecture will allow you to copy and paste? Right, copy it. Click on the copy button, or I could have said Control C. And let's go and put it out there and say Control V. So votes for A, int votes for B, int votes for C, int spoiled votes. Oh, they also tell me that it is initialized to 0. Initialized to 0 means it is set to 0. So let's put that equal to 0, semicolon, equal to 0 with a semicolon, equal to 0 with a semicolon, equal to 0 with a semicolon. Now that I've done the declaration, it says use a for loop going through 1 to the number of voting stations. Now, have they told me about the voting stations? Okay, there we go. Suppose there are 4 voting stations. Okay, so we need to have another variable. Int voting stations equals to 4. Now the voting stations will stay constant, and I could have declared this as a constant variable because we don't want to go and state that there's 4 voting stations and then we decide to be naughty and we add another voting station and count the votes from there. All right, but there's definitely going to be 4 voting stations. That's it. And A, B, or C. So the person has to put on A, B, and C. Right, we've done that. So let's build and run, build and run, build and run, build and run. Yay, hello world. So that's quite cool, right? It's working. And let's say now this is the declaration, so we need to have some input out here. That's a comment statement. We're going to have some processing out here, and we're going to have some output there. Now, let's say for instance you're stuck at the exam and you don't have much time and you don't know what to do. So you know that you have to display an output, total candidate A, total candidate B. So this is what I'm going to suggest. So you put down total candidate A colon, oops, and it is votes for A. And let's, because I'm running out of time, let's just copy this, Control C, Control V. So we need a count for A, Control V, paste, Control V, paste, right? So we have the total candidates for A, for B, for C, and that's votes for B, and that's votes for C. Oh, and we have total spoiled votes. Total spoiled votes, and that's going to be spoiled votes. Now, you tell me, if I'm the examiner, I have to give you marks for the declaration. Maybe it's half a mark, so it's half. That's 1, 2, 2.5 marks there. 2.5, and there's half a mark here. 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. So you already got 4.5 marks. Look at that. Maybe if I had, we don't need this see out hello world anymore. Isn't that cool? Without even answering the question, you don't know what's going on in the question, but you've taken it from there and you've just displayed this. So let's build and run, build and run, build and run. Total candidates for A is 0, B 0. Yay, look at that. Just look at that. Ain't that cool? I haven't even answered the question and I'm basically have some marks for jam. Nothing, right? So the next thing we're going to do is start answering this for loop and this while loop story, and we'll take it from there. Cool? Yay! So let's stop